It's official. Newcastle suck. Before you get your pitchforks out, let me explain. I recently did some simulations, recorded the league tables in a spreadsheet, then calculated the average finish. Newcastle were 9th. The problem is they were predicted to finish 4th, making Newcastle the biggest underachievers in the Premier League. So let's fix them with Moneyball. I've started with the top 5 leagues, plus Belgium, Netherlands and Portugal. The first transfer window is disabled. The first season is all about gathering data. Then, the following summer, we'll transform the team. So here we are, Newcastle United. A team that has won the top division 4 times, but not since 1927. They are the reigning Carabao Cup champions though. Massive. That's unfair of me. They did win the Anglo-Italian Cup in 1973 after all. The squad has a lot of quality, but let's look at them in general terms so we can identify a tactical approach. There are 4 elite passers, all who play quite deep. In the front line it is Voltemada who is perhaps the most creative. We do have a lot of pace up top though. Aerially we have 3 players with excellent jumping reach and a couple more not too far behind. And all our centre backs are strong defensively. We do need to consider the supporter culture. Beyond nudity and beer, they want attacking, high-tempo pressing and entertaining football. I still have no idea what FM considers entertaining football to be, but we've got enough here that we can start making a tactic. In possession, we'll go with a 3-4-3. The plan is to use the passing range of Bruno and Tonali to ping balls into Voltemada, and get bodies in and around him for flick-ons and knockdowns. We can also use those runners to stress the channels. So our double pivot here has been asked to pass more direct. The attacking midfielders have been asked to dribble more, with the inside forward sitting narrower and the shadow striker moving into channels. I would have preferred having both as attacking midfielders, but players like Visser, Elanga and Murphy are only comfortable out wide. Our wing-backs provide the width, so have been instructed to stay wider. Alongside the box-to-box midfielder, they'll join the attacking unit when we are established in the final third, creating a kind of 3-1-6. We'll play quick and direct, and we'll look to counter-attack. We've got plenty of big boys, so let's play for set pieces too, although these will be delegated. Early crosses to get it into the big man. Progress through the middle in the hope of getting the ball to Bruno and Tonali to launch it forward. Similarly, distribute short so we can get it into Bruno and Tonali to launch it forward. Out of possession, we drop into a 5-4-1. The wing-backs become full-backs. The attacking midfielders wide midfielders. Everything vanilla except the target forward, who is the outlet, and a sweeper keeper. The fans want high-tempo pressing, so we'll give them high-tempo pressing. I just won't keep any players forward enough for that press to be particularly effective. Loopholes. We'll ask the defensive line to drop off more in the hope we can protect ourselves from long balls over the top. We're going to trap them outside, and in our defensive third look to stop crosses. It's all a bit too Amorim coded for my liking. I mean, that's not the approach you want to take with a team that's already underachieving. Nonetheless, let's see how it gets on. Okay, quick interjection. I have to tell my players that I'm inspirational. We're going full Mikel Arteta. We finished third, just 4 points off top spot. Man City were 9th and Brighton got relegated. Voltemada was incredible, 35 league goals, 43 overall. Mostly set up by Tino Livramento, who finished the season with 19 assists. Now this season was all about getting a baseline, seeing how we performed so we can identify where we need to improve. It looks like we've got a solid foundation, but let's check out the team stats. 13th for possession, but first for XG and chances created. We don't want the ball, just goals. We made the least blocks, 5th least clearances, but led the league in interceptions. We had the 4th highest header win rate. We also conceded the 5th most fouls, picked up the 3rd most yellow cards, and joint 2nd most red cards. I approve of all of this. These are exactly the kind of outputs I'd expect from the tactic we put together. Next season we want more of the same, just a little better. Now, this would be a good moment, especially for those new to the channel, for me to briefly explain Moneyball. Moneyball is the use of data to find players undervalued by the market. Originally used by the Oakland Athletics in baseball, they focused on lesser appreciated metrics over traditional scouting methods. Let's give an FM example. In January, I signed Antonino Gallo from Lecce. We needed depth at left back. A key part of the role is creating chances, but Gallo had 0 assists to his name. Instead, we focused on expected assists, where Gallo's 0.24 per 90 were equal to Lewis Hall's. He was creating chances, his Lecce teammates just weren't finishing them. Buy him for 4.8 million, put him alongside more prolific players, and he ends up with 7 assists by season end. 4.8 million is a bargain, but I should point out that undervalued doesn't necessarily mean cheap. If you can get the output of Haaland or Mbappe for say 50 million quid and 200k per week, you're laughing. It's relative. So what we want to do is distill each position down to a couple of key metrics, and then identify players who excel in those stats and are otherwise undervalued. For this we need some guidelines, and I'll be using transfermarket.com. The average market value of a player in the Premier League is 23.26 million euros or £20.5 million. This will be our cap. All signings need to be under £20.5 million, except one. I'll allow myself one marquee signing up to 50% above the cap, so a maximum of £30 million. We also want to consider our wages. Our spend is currently £2.8 million per week. That's £117 million over the course of the season, the 8th highest wage bill in the league. Our turnover for the season was £350 million, so we're quite healthy in that regard. But let's aim to bring it down by about 10% anyway, capping ourselves at £2.5 million per week. If you want a more detailed look at Moneyball and its application in football, check out my Everton series from earlier this year, linked in the description below. Let's start with defenders, tackle win rate and header win rate. Big Dan Burn led the way in both metrics. Kraft didn't play much because I didn't trust him and his fugly 38% header win rate. Lascelles didn't play at all. Both are at the end of their contracts, so we'll be sending them on their way. Fabian Schär was pretty solid, but he wants a 50% pay rise aged 34. That ain't happening. His contract is allowed to expire too. Sven Botman was underwhelming, has 1 year remaining on his contract, yet has the audacity to ask for a 70% pay rise, to sold to PSG for £54 million. Malik Thior's header win rate is lower than I would like, but we're down to just 2 defenders, so he stays. If we're going to persist with 3 at the back, and why would we change, it's been successful, then we need reinforcements. Dan Burn will be the baseline, so 79% tackle win rate, 68% header win rate, minimum 1,000 hours played. That brings us Ross Sykes. The Union Saint-Gilloise defender counts as English homegrown, won 91% of his tackles and 70% of his headers. For 700k and 22.5k per week, he brings depth. Augsburg's Chris Lane-Matsima can be the starter, £17.75 million and 85k per week. Not as strong as Sykes in the tackle, but much better in the air. More importantly, he's doing it in the Bundesliga, a much higher level. Former Rennes and Brest defender Lilian Brassier on the left. A former Brest player named Brassier. Come on. For 12.25 million and 75k per week, he'll be our Botman replacement. With tackle and header win rates around 80%, he should be a great addition. We touched on wing-backs earlier. I'm looking at tackle win rate and expected assists. All 4 performed well and were much of a muchness, but Kieran Trippier was the lowest in both metrics. With his contract also expiring, he's been allowed to leave. We'll look for a replacement based on his output. 75% tackle win rate, 0.3 expected assists. Meet Wrexham's Ryan Barnett, transfer listed for 500k. His expected assist numbers are a little below at 0.27 per 90, but truth be told, the options here were slim. At the heart of our midfield, I want ball progression and tackle win rate. A little creativity wouldn't go amiss either. Our incumbents offer one or the other. Bruno and Tonali's ball progression is sensational. Miley and Willock are better at tackling. Miley is the weak link, but he's young and homegrown, so he'll stick around. Willock, on the other hand, has 1 year left on his contract, so he's been sold to Leeds for £18 million. Bergvall was an emergency loan after Guimaraes fractured his ankle, and he's well beyond our budget, so won't be returning. Welcome Tyler Morton, our marquee signing at £30 million and 95k per week. More creative than all our midfielders, and 75% tackle win rate is great. His progression numbers are low, but so are his possession lost numbers. This is where tactical style comes into play. Lyon play possession football. Morton is expected to play it short and safe. So actually, his progressive numbers are quite impressive. He picks his moments to get the ball forward and does so without turning it over. In attacking midfield, we keep it simple. Score, create, occasionally dribble. Jacob Ramsey and Anthony Elanga were great. 0.5 goals, 0.3 expected assists, above 3 dribbles per 90. Anthony Gordon was fine, so when Real Madrid offered £65 million, I was happy to accept. Harvey Barnes and Johan Visser hardly justify their north of 100k per week salaries, so were sold for £10.5 million and £30 million respectively. Jacob Murphy wanted out, so he went to Sevilla for £15 million. There are no affordable players as good as Elanga or Ramsey, so let's drop the criteria a little. 0.4 goals, 0.2 expected assists, but let's increase dribbles to above 4. Mohamed Daramy was a star for me in the league, and I hope he'll do the same here. 0.45 goals, 0.27 expected assists, 4.5 dribbles. Solid for £17.5 million and 88k per week. Followed by fellow Ligue 2 star Zuriko Davitashvili. More prolific, more creative, more dribbly. And cheaper. £15.5 million and 80k per week. Finally, strikers. Score goals, win headers. Voltemada was incredible, scoring almost 1 goal per game. Joe Linton is his backup, equally so, but he wants a new challenge, so he's gone to Napoli for £33 million. I don't expect the replacement to be as good, just serviceable. 0.5 goals per 90 and a 40% header win rate suits me. Someone like Jonas Vind, available on a free transfer and 95k per week. 0.76 goals per 90, 48% header win rate. You might say Vind is a breath of fresh air. That's a total outlay of £98.5 million, including Gallo. 229 million raised in transfers out. Our wage spend is now down to 2.3 million. But not so fast. Davitashvili tore his ACL in his 6th appearance. Man City bid 108 million for Tonali in January. So we bought in Strasbourg Sebastian Nanasi, scores and creates at a moderate rate. 11.75 million and 98k per week to add depth in Davitashvili's absence. Matteo Guendouzi arrived on loan too. He almost met the criteria in the summer, and as we already have Tonali's replacement in Morton, Guendouzi can bring depth. That pushes our wages up to £2.4 million, still beneath our target. It skyrockets our net profit to £227 million since we arrived. But none of this means anything if we don't win games. So let's see how we got on. A season of trophy lifts. Morton and Voltemada gave us a 2-0 win over Spurs in the Carabao Cup. They both scored in the FA Cup final too, as we beat Championship Southampton 5-2. The Champions League was a step too far. Barcelona dispatched us in the semi-finals. 2 trophies is great, but could it be a treble? With 8 games remaining, we were top. 4 points ahead of Man City, 5 ahead of the reigning champions Liverpool. But Anfield was next. A Florian Wirtz double condemned us to defeat, and the gap was down to just 2 points. Win out, and the title is ours, but even a single draw could spell disaster. Our response to the Liverpool defeat was emphatic. A 2-0 win over Leicester, followed by a nervy 2-1 victory at the Molineux, might not have been the most convincing, but then we turned on the style. A solidly mid-table Leeds could not contain Voltemada, as he scored 4 times in the first half alone. Ramsey added a 5th in the second half as we ran out 5-1 winners. At home against Spurs, and Voltemada could only manage a regular hat-trick in the first half. He got his 4th just after the break, with Ramsey once again adding the 5th. 5-0. Liverpool had dropped points earlier at Crystal Palace, so all that stood between us and a Premier League title was already relegated Ipswich Town. Elanga opened the scoring in the 20th minute. Vinton dispatched a penalty 7 minutes later. Jacob Ramsey made it 3 early in the second half before Brassia's effort deflected in off Cameron Humphreys. 2027. Exactly 100 years since Newcastle last won the Premier League. How fitting. We finished as top scorers, least goals conceded, 9 points more than the previous season. I think we can call that a job well done, but how did the new signings get on? Matsima and Brassia were an improvement over Shah and Botman in both metrics. Sykes was our best tackler, but appalling in the air. I mean, that's what 700k gets you. Tyler Morton was our best tackling defensive midfielder. His progression improved, not quite to Bruno levels, and his creativity saw him finish with 10 goal contributions for the season. Guendouzi was fine, serviceable as a backup. At wing-back, Antonino Gallo was comparable to Lewis Hall. Both were excellent and contributed 31 assists between them. Ryan Barnett played a lot, including 14 Premier League starts, 84% tackle win rate, 0.3 expected assists. I did not expect that. Mohamed Daramy was our dribbliest of boys, and his output was an improvement on those he replaced, just a little less prolific than Elanga. Nanasi brought creativity, but his goal-scoring efforts left a little to be desired. Davatashvili's injury prevented him from playing much, but the early signs were bad. 0 expected assists, 0 goals. Just 1 game away from Jadon Sancho levels here. Jonas Wind, however, was sensational. 47% header win rate, a goal per game. 30 goals for a backup is insane. I think that means I'm a genius. Either that or Newcastle were good already, and it was just virtual Eddie Howe causing them to underperform. Either way, we can only work with what's in front of us. We made 10 permanent signings. Sykes and Davatashvili can be considered flops. Nanasi was just okay, but the other 7 were fantastic, and a 70% hit rate is great. It seems like there'll be some absolute gems in FM26, and I look forward to trying to find them. See you next time. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like or maybe even subscribing. If you want to support the channel further, you can join these wonderful folk currently adorning your screen, either by becoming a member or joining the Patreon linked in the description below.